It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, and not just any Friday. It's Father's Day Friday. They are saying humidity's going to go down. This is the weekend to play golf for you dads, because moms, significant others, they all go, hey, it's your day. We get it. You can go. Have a great weekend. Should be a lot of fun. Speaking of which, U.S. Open, I don't think they're having a whole lot of fun. The only guys playing well today seem to be Sam Burns, and I think he's coming back to reality. And also that South African Duffy, who would have ever thought Mathis Duffy would become a name? But that's what happens with U.S. Opens. I would not expect him to be around on Sunday. Adam Hadwin, the Canadian, who's really been a good player, but he's at 65 in the world or something like that. After having the first round lead yesterday at 4 under, he's already 3 over today. So he is going backwards. The Warriors, I think we can say fairly, they are a dynasty. 6 finals in 8 years, and the only reason they weren't there the other 2 years was because of injuries, and in particular to Klay Thompson, and 4 titles in the 8 years. And frankly, I think there's another 1 or 2 years they have. I don't think Curry is – I think he's in his prime. He's not past his prime. Look what he did. Finally got his first MVP of a finals. So he's a 2-time MVP of the league, right? He is a 4-time champion. I don't know how many times he's been an all-star. And I thought it was really funny because, and I think he alluded to it himself, how there's talk that, because he had never been a finals MVP, that he wasn't considered one of the greats. But let me tell you, Kevin Durant, who did get 2 of the NBA Finals MVPs, he wouldn't have been the MVP if Curry hadn't been a team guy. So, I didn't think he needed that validation. I think he's already there. I am not high on this like I used to be on this franchise because the way they punk people, get all the calls, the way they flop. The flopping really is the thing that bothers me the most. And Steve Kerr, who I used to love, the breaking the code thing, I don't care for that. And I think we got a good rivalry the next few years because as these guys are leaving their prime and the Grizzlies are entering their prime, it is going to be fantastic. Look, Klay Thompson laid down the gauntlet last night by taking up and tweeting about a tweet that Jaren Jackson Jr. had made and that PO'd him. So we've got the makings of that. I do think, J-Mo, don't you have to say this is a dynasty?
Absolutely. It's a great champion. Parallels with the Lightning, too. 2 great champions that we haven't had, dynasties like that in a long time in 2 sports. Klay Thompson also, you mentioned Klay. People forget he was hurt all year. Came back from 2 of the worst injuries back-to-back. Yeah. He hasn't had an offseason to get himself going and really score and play at his highest level. Imagine if he goes through this entire offseason, what they're going to be like next year. You get him. And if James Wiseman's the ultimate what-if he can get on the court and start playing.
I know. And they're going to get a draft pick.
And you got a draft pick. Unbelievable.
And I'll tell you the key here to why I really think they won this title was the realization of the potential of Andrew Wiggins. This was the number 1 overall pick in 2014. This was a guy who never lived up to the billing in Minnesota, was a good player, but certainly not a great player, not one that would be the number 1 overall pick, but he looked like that in this series, and I'll tell you why. I thought you could have made a case for him to be the MVP. I'm not saying they were wrong, but I am saying you could make a case for Andrew Wiggins being the MVP because of the defense that he played. And Boston definitely was affected by the Golden State defense. I would tell you, they hit 19 threes last night. That's pretty important. But I would tell you the way they stymied Boston and forced them all series long into turnovers is part of the reason, and maybe the main reason why they won the NBA title. And Wiggins was, either he or Green were the two best defensive players on the floor. I know Marcus Smart is supposed to be great. I don't think he was. In fact, I think as much as you want to make about Marcus Smart being a good player, and he is, I don't think he lived up to the billing. And I don't think and certainly Jason Tatum didn't live up to being an all-NBA superstar. He was very average, turned the ball over a bunch in this series. Boston undid themselves last night with those turnovers, and they did the whole series long. Some of that, I think, was the Golden State defense. The other, last night, I think the pressure got to them. And I'm going to tell you why. They go up 14-2, and they're thinking, oh, yeah, we're home. We're going to Game 7. And then here comes Golden State. And then as soon as Golden State caught them, they panicked. That's when they started playing horribly, terribly. They undid themselves.
They really did. It's almost like seeing a rookie team or a young team or a team that's their first experience in the playoffs. That's almost amplified when your back's against the wall in the finals. What you're saying about Marcus Smart, I think, is a great point. A lot of people that are big on analytics and kind of analytics driven, I would say, really criticize the pick for Marcus Smart for Defensive Player of the Year because they think they just gave it to him because Boston was the best defensive team in the league. And I think the playoffs kind of may have supported that point a little bit. I still think Marcus Smart's an elite defender, don't get me wrong, but it kind of supported that point a little bit. And going back to what you said about how good Andrew Wiggins was, it's almost like that Harrison Barnes role when they won those first couple championships.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have won, maybe not most valuable, but you could make a case, and they certainly wouldn't have won the championship this year without Andrew Wiggins.
There's no doubt. And they wouldn't have won the series, I don't think, without Andrew Wiggins. He basically took Jason Tatum out of his game. Jaylen Brown's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a consistent guy that I've seen. And he was really good last night, but Tatum was not. And the other aspect about Marcus Smart, not to pick on him so much, because he is a good defender, I don't think he's a great point guard. I don't know that they have a true distributor, and that's another part of their problem.
Two ball handlers, him and Peyton Pritchard, which is incredible that you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And these weaknesses are amplified when you get to the NBA Finals, right? You said Jeff Van Gundy has been talking a lot about left hand, and I've heard Stan Van Gundy talk about it too, the two brothers. But it's true, and it's amplified to a huge level, not using their left hand. But it's a fact. They had two ball handlers on the team that could facilitate offense, and one of them is coming off the bench. You really only have Marcus Smart on the floor that can do that.
And their defense, which was number 1 in the league in the regular season, they couldn't stop Golden State's three. They never figured out whether they should switch on picks or go over the top. It was crazy to me. They gave up 19 threes at a 41% clip last night. How can you win a game when you give up 19 threes at 41%?
You cannot. On the road, too, and Golden State has had some tough shooting games so far as well, and they still missed some open shots, but there was just too many good looks given up, and some of them were unfortunate, like one of the last plays, kind of the dagger three in the corner that Steph hit when Marcus Smart got hit in the unmentionables and couldn't go guard the basketball. But I mean, they also hit open shots that in some games in this series they were missing.
Boston's a good team, and they're still young. They'll learn from this. They do need to make a couple of adjustments. And let's face it, that was Ime Udoka's first run at a championship level. He's going to learn from that. He was up against a guy this is incredible because this is almost like Boston Celtic-like from the 60s. Do you know how many rings now? I'm sure you do. Steve Kerr has?
4?
He's got 4 as a coach. He's got 5 as a player. He's got 9 rings. He needs one more for both hands, and he could get it. I think this team, if Wiseman turns out to be good, Poole's going to get better, and Clay is still in his prime.
Kuminga's a rookie who's a really good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think this team is going to be a contender for the next couple of years. They could absolutely get 10 or 11 or for Steve Kerr as long as he continues to coach, and I don't see him going anywhere at all. But, man, it makes you think, doesn't it? This could have been the Grizzlies. I ask you point blank, and I'm not sure of the answer. Text us what you think at the AutoZone text line at 901-360-8255. Considering this same Grizzlies team versus this same Golden State team, they had them up by 55. They beat them by 30-something. If this team had Ja and Steven Adams for the whole series, could this Grizzlies team this year that had the second best regular season record, could they have won the NBA title?
I have to say no. I don't mean to poo-poo on the Grizzlies parade today. A lot of people, because Jaren was mentioned, not by name specifically in the postgame press.
It was his tweet.
It was his tweet.
It's been identified. You can say that.
Yeah, but so there's a lot of victory laps going on today. The Grizzlies did give them a great series as well. Certainly, maybe you could argue it was better than the series than the Celtics gave them. But I think every team, I think every fan base, and Ja is certainly a huge injury, but I think every fan base kind of touts their injuries when they lose in the playoffs. But you're right, it could have been a totally different series with Ja and Steven Adams on the court.
I'm not sure they wouldn't have won that. I'm really not. It goes a long time this season, right?
Oh, the playoffs itself goes a long.
Yeah.
It seems like forever ago. The regular season.
Well,
ended.
the playoffs began in April, right?
That's right.
We're in the middle of June. It is literally 2 months. So if you don't make the playoffs, you get 6 months off. If you make the playoffs and you make this run, the Grizzlies are going to have 5 months off. Golden State and Boston, 4 months off.
That's honestly what makes dynasties in the NBA that much more impressive to me. You look at like LeBron James that plays in the finals almost every year. The Warriors that have been to 6 and 8 years, they're playing so much longer of a season every year, a grueling season in the playoffs. Dynasties are very hard to come by in the NBA.
They are, and this one I think you can put in the dynastic reference because 6 finals in 8 years and 4 titles. And frankly, they gave one. You mentioned LeBron. They gave one to Cleveland when they were up 3-1. Gave that one away.
Talk about injuries. Andrew Bogut getting hurt. Man, that would have been a different series if he stayed.
Oh, yeah. But, at least good things to contemplate. That is for certain. This could be the day that we hear about Emmanuel Akot. He visited Memphis earlier this week. He visited North Carolina State. Is it NC State he was going to see?
That's right. They, I think, believe he's going. His trip is this weekend because there's an article here from 20 hours ago set to host. NC State is set to host Boise State transfer Emmanuel Akot this weekend.
So if you're going to have to wait, Jason Munn's going to join us. We got a lot to talk about. Frank Haith has come on board since we last spoke to Jason. I don't know if he saw that one coming. He wrote a story today that actually was yesterday in digital print today. That's the way these things work these days. Imani Bates has not shown up anywhere. And he's talked to somebody close to Imani Bates. Could Imani Bates be coming back? Because Penny keeps saying he needs shooting, and there's no question that Imani Bates can shoot. The problem is all the other baggage that comes with it and the chemistry questions from last year. Is Bates worth bringing back? We'll talk with our friend Jason Munns about that. Akot, I think, would be a perfect fit. I remember when I was doing my homework, and I like to always talking to the opposing play-by-play guy when I'm doing research on a team that I don't really know that well. Although Memphis had played Boise State in the NIT tournament the year before, and then here they are. They're playing them in the first round in Portland in the NCAA tournament. And these guys were saying what a great player Akot is. I'm really surprised he's leaving Boise. They made the NCAA tournament last year. I don't know why he's leaving unless he feels like he needs to go to a bigger presence program to increase his professional possibilities, maybe. It seemed like everybody on that Boise team got along pretty well. And Boise, Idaho, by the way, is a gorgeous, gorgeous place to live. So I'm not sure what the motivation is for Akot, but I do think, J-Mo, he would be an incredible fit. 6'8" guard who can shoot, who can defend. He's a multi-role player. He can play all these different positions. Perfect for the Penny plan.
I think you probably are right with what you said about maybe trying to go to a little higher profile program. He started at Arizona and just couldn't get it going. And maybe that maturity over the last few years of really coming into his own. I mean, he's a really good player last year. Maybe would you think, probably their best player last season, don't you think?
Oh, well, according to their announcers, he was definitely their best player.
Certainly. So, yeah, a huge addition if the Tigers could get him.
If they can. Now, this is the first time, we'll ask Jason Munz about this, in the Penny era, that Penny has swung and missed on several players. I mean, he thought he was going to get the 7'3" kid or 7'5" kid out of Western Kentucky, Sharp. He thought he was going to get Kerwin Walton. There's one other guy. Brooks went to Washington, but I don't know if he ever thought he was really going to get him. But those two for sure. I think Penny and his staff felt like they were going to get him. And I don't know if it's the IARP shadow hanging over the program and other colleges using that as a weapon, but Penny doesn't usually swing and miss.
Do you think it has to do with assistant coach? Like, Frank Haith is the only one on staff right now. Is that? Well, I guess Larry Brown, half and half.
Well, Larry Brown's actually not. Larry Brown's contract ended. Was it June 30th or May 31st? One of those two. His contract was up. Although, I guess it says he's renewable automatically for 5 years unless it was some crazy language in there. We'll ask Munzie if there's any update on that at all. But heck, Memphis baseball and softball interesting. So the Tigers, they added Carrick Jackson as their head coach. Well, he added a guy yesterday who is, a veteran. A guy that actually Jackson used to work for. His name is Tim Jamison, and Jamison was the head baseball coach at Missouri for 22 years, 698 wins in those 22 years, 75 players drafted in the MLB draft that played for Tim Jamison. That is incredible, including Max Scherzer and Ian Kinsler.
Those are good guys to tout.
So you got to figure he's going to help in recruiting, and along with Jackson, who's a good recruiter and certainly a dynamic guy. Wow, that was big. At the same time, they were announcing that Tim Jamison was coming on board. Natalie Poole, the softball coach, after 11 years at the U of M, it's 20-something in the game. She retired or stepped down. I don't know if she's retiring, to be honest with you. 11 years at the U of M, 241 wins, 340 losses. So almost 100 under 500. Last year, 16-38. And honestly, I did a bunch of those softball games, and I really think Natalie is the nicest lady, smart, knows the game. But the talent level there, if we're being brutally honest here, is just not up to all the other schools that I saw them play against. Just not.
Even in the league itself.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, what is the key? It's the key in baseball, but it's even more important, I think, in softball, and that is pitching. If you've got a great pitcher, you can use that pitcher every day. And if you've got a great pitcher who can throw near 70 miles an hour with a lot of movement, and they got risers and they got sinkers and they move the ball around, if you've got a great pitcher, you're in every game. She had Zippo pitching. She had one young lady she used a lot who was effective for an inning or two, and then I don't know what would happen. They caught on to her or whatever it was. But so that is the end of the Natalie Poole era. It was a long one, though, 11 years, and we'll see they're going to do a national search right away. This I thought was really interesting. I'll give you an update on the leaderboard here, and J-Mo, I'm going to let you do that right after this. Greg Sankey gave an interview. I don't know if it was Toppelmeyer or who it was, but it was I thought interesting. And what got me was that they are monitoring the way gambling is being utilized by SEC fans. Who are they placing bets on? What sports? They want to monitor that. And I was thinking, well, they're monitoring it because of fixes and things of that nature. And Sankey said it used to be years ago, you would never bet on the Olympic sports, right? Gymnastics, track and field, none of that stuff would ever get bet on. And that really the things that you bet on were football, and that was all the time, basketball, and women's basketball. And those were usually around tournament times that the gambling would be good on those. Now, basketball, both men and women, and football, always bet all year long. And even the Olympic sports are getting bet now. And I'm thinking, well, they're going to watch this for fixes and everything of that nature. No. You know what they're watching it for? I thought this was really good. They're watching it because they didn't. An unintended consequence of all of the gambling that is going on and the attention that is placed on a sport is what feeds into mental health issues for the athletes, for the student athletes. And so that is another issue they really want to monitor. And rightfully so, because you are adding pressure. Because now a casual fan becomes a much more passionate fan if he's got money on it. That juice is what drives a gambler, what they strive for, what gets them going. But it also brings more attention to that student athlete or mistakes that might come with it.
Especially when everyone is so accessible via social media nowadays, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen in basketball just itself, I've seen a lot of hateful messages go out there, so I can only imagine what some of these athletes might be presented with.
I just took a look at the leaderboard. Update us here, J-Mo, and we'll do that in just 1 second. But it looks like anybody who's out on the course right now is no longer on the leaderboard or at the top of the leaderboard. We'll give you that in a second. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A big reminder to all of you, the Vacation at Home sale with the trampolines and the play gyms with big money off, $500. The hot tubs, you can get $1,000 off if you pick it up yourself, $1,500 on an above-ground pool. That's all part of the Vacation at Home sale if you pick it up and install it yourself. Big opportunities for you to make your home a vacation spot with the Vacation at Home sale going on at Family Leisure. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, that's our title sponsor, and they have been for a long time. And I really value the association that we have with them because they do business the right way. Their retention of customers is amazing. It's because they live by these philosophies of taking care of you, and the biggest one now comes from Chris True himself, where he pledges you'll never pay more than sticker price on a new car. Other dealerships follow the law of supply and demand. That is not what's going on at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi, and Highway 78. You'll never pay more than sticker price on a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. What's happening at Brookline?
We still got MJ Duffy in first. He's dropped all the way to even now, so -3 is the lead score. Looks like the best score on the course for today is 2 under.
Sam Burns?
Sam Burns is still 2 under. Patrick Reed is 1 under on the day, 1 under on the tournament. Matt Fitzpatrick is 1 over on the day, but he's 1 under on the tournament. Adam Hadwin back up to +3. Seamus Power
Wait.
today.
Adam Hadwin is +3?
+3 on the day. I'm
so
sorry.
he's even par.
-1 on the day.
Because he was at 4 under. Yeah.
Dustin Johnson 2 over on the day. Seamus Power 1 under on the day, and Scotty Scheffler even. So 2 under. One more. Brooks Koepka 2 under on the day. He's fought back to +1 now.
Oh, here he comes. Two-time U.S. Open champion Patrick Reed is 1 under. I think you just mentioned that. Here's one name you did not mention, and one name who will not be playing on the weekend, and one name who is, I think, a polarizing figure now.
Got you a lunch with Johnny Lyon.
I got a lunch with Johnny Lyon because I said he wouldn't make the cut. Phil Mickelson, last I looked today through 9, he was 3 over on the day and 11 over for the tournament.
That's still correct.
Yeah, he belongs on the LIV Tour. That's about right. All right, we take a break. We'll talk Tigers and the basketball with the Great beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, Jason Munz. I'll remind everybody this portion of the show is brought to you by the good folks from Grind City Brewing and that fabulous Pilsner, which is Poppy's Pils. That's the light, refreshing, crisp Pilsner that comes from Memphis. You know, all the good folks at Grind City. I love their products. I love Tiger Tail. But I've fallen in love in the hot weather with this Pilsner. It is ultra crushable. It is available in 6-packs or 15-packs. And if you're playing golf today and you come back in, you want something refreshing, nothing better. And it's best enjoyed ice cold. So you can get it as cold as you want. You will love it. I promise. From the hometown team at Grind City comes what the doctor ordered, the Pilsner everybody knows as Poppy's Pils. We pause for a second. Jason Munz is next on Wolo and Friends.
You have opinions?
Yes.
Of course you do. Everyone does. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line, 360-8255, 360-8255.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Hey, I got one of my best customers, Mark, here.
Hey, Montana.
Hey, Mark, tell Sports 56 fans the deal of the century that I gave you at Sleep Cheap.
Yeah, I just bought the whole family's new mattresses. Our backs thank you. These are professional people to work with, good quality mattresses and box springs, and they under-promised and over-delivered. We got the Sports 56 deal, the hybrid mattress and box springs regularly $1,000 for $599, and the wife and I got the king-size mattress normally $1,500 for $999.
Mark, it was a pleasure working with you. Glad you and your family are happy with the quality of our memory foam. Now I'm extending this manager suite deal to my fellow Sports 56 fans. Check out our 3 locations, 6330 Winchester, Memphis, 1069 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, and West Memphis, 1701 North Missouri Street. Also wanted to let you know Sleep Cheap mattress sets starting at $199 to $4,000. We have twin XLs, queen, king, California King, we got it all. And again, guys, take advantage of this sweet Sports 56 hybrid mattress queen box deal. Normally $1,000, we got it for $599. We also have the King, normally $1,500, selling for $999. See y'all at Sleep Cheap.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I'm ready to get my Kia on. What's happening over on Mount Moriah and Gossett Kia South?
Hey, I know the car business is crazy right now, but we got them on the lot ready to ride. I've got a 2022 Kia Forte LXS 210 a month, 2022 Kia Soul LX 223 a month, both 36-month lease and $27.99 due at signing. Plus 2022 Kia Sorento LX 315, 36-month lease and $34.99 due at signing.
And Jeff, your Kias are always equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia, Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com. All 36-month leases, 650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 0 security deposit. Forte, 89,848, MSRP 20,770, sold in 78,6867, MSRP 20,880. Sorento, NG 128,223, MSRP 31,980. Must finance through Kia plus tax Highland license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 7/5/22. Dealer stock only. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We just gave you all those U.S. Open scores. It's partially brought to you by Miramichi. I'm going to be there for Father's Day. My sons and I are going to be out at Miramichi on Sunday. Why wouldn't you? 330 acres of beauty, 7,400 yards of championship golf. Of course, these guys would play that kind of range. I'm going to go down to about 6,300. You can play 6,500 yards. You're going to love it. Golf Week said back in 2020, when you're talking about the best places to play in the state of Tennessee, you got to play Miramichi, and they're right on the money. The back nine is so gorgeous. It's 330 acres of beauty. It really is. And then when the match is over, we'll be up on the terrace, a 10,000 square foot outpost that overlooks the lush golf course, beautiful pond, great open skies. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's a great experience. Miramichi, that's the place to take your father for Father's Day. And if you are thinking of selling your home, and I'm thinking about golf, one of your buddies sells real estate, he's a great golfer, then you've heard about Sheldon. That's Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf Realtors being the worst golfer in town, and that's true. He is. He's the worst golfer in town, but I think he's the best realtor. When it comes to marketing homes, and he's got so many satisfied clients. He spends more time selling homes and making his clients money than he does practicing golf. He's got that strategy. It's a marketing strategy. It's highly successful. It's got shell bucks, and it works. And that's why they may call him Mr. Three-Putt or Sheldon lost his ball again. Done. But he's the guy that gets the job done when he's selling your home. So don't hesitate. You don't want the best golfer selling your house. You want the best real estate guy. And that's Sheldon Rosengarten. That's 483-0546 or on the web at memphisrelocate.com. And Munzie joins us now. Jason Munz, the terrific commercial appeal Tiger beat writer. And you said in a story that I read in print today and on digital yesterday, you spoke with somebody close to Imani Bates. The Tigers need shooting. Is Imani Bates going to leave the transfer portal and come back to Memphis?
Well, I don't know if I go that far. But like, you know, I just, this is how I pitched it to my editors. It's like, Penny's got a bunch of scholarships available. He has said numerous times that he needs shooters. That's really like kind of like the last thing that he needs, going forward. The options in the transfer portal are getting slimmer and slimmer, but one person who is still on the market apparently on the market is Imani Bates, and he's a pretty good shooter. And, there's quite a bit of familiarity there. There's a lot of, it's not all, it doesn't, when you take everything into consideration, it doesn't all make sense. There's some things that if this was something that was being entertained, there were some things that would need to be ironed out for sure. But, things get weird sometimes when circumstances change. And I floated the idea out there to some people on the Memphis side, and I floated the idea out there to people in the Imani Bates camp, and nobody shot it down. I was waiting for someone to say, "What are you, crazy? Don't be ridiculous." That did not happen. Now again, if I'm a betting man, I'm not betting on this, but at the same time, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was at least
would that be good for the chemistry? Because let's be honest. I know his father was an issue with his presence at practices and behind the bench, but I don't know that Imani Bates he was fine with me. I had no problem with the kid, but I'm not sure he was loved by his teammates. What would the chemistry be like if he came back?
Well, first of all, some of those teammates that he might not have necessarily gotten along with might not necessarily be there anymore.
That's
so there's
true.
that. And then the other part of it is, I've talked to some people who said that Imani's demeanor and the way he carried himself, like some of the chemistry issues might not have been necessarily because, like, the root of them might not have necessarily been because of Imani. And so, again, this is pie in the sky. Like, I don't think it's going to happen, but I thought it was at least worth exploring and sort of talking about, putting it out there. I think that both sides understand that if this were to come to pass, if both sides realize after all is said and done that they're better off with each other than without each other, there would need to be some changes made to the dynamics of the relationship. And, I think that if they were to reunite and everybody was in agreement that some things would need to change, then I think that would help solve some of the potential chemistry issues that might still be lingering as well. But, again, this is all still, I wouldn't call it speculation, but it is, not overly likely. But it was worth talking about.
It's always an interesting conversation piece for sure. A guy that seems more likely might be Emmanuel Akot, the kid that Memphis played in the NCAA tournament, the 6'8" guard, who's also a good defender, that played for Boise State, started his career at a Power 5 at Arizona. He's visiting NC State. I think Western Kentucky's also in the picture here. Rick Stansbury's pretty good at enticing folks. How does that end up?
I think if you ask people at Memphis, they would say, we're like kind of knocking on the door of sealing this deal. Yes, he visited here. The reports were that he visited Western Kentucky. There were reports that he was set to visit NC State. I'm hearing that visit is either going to have to be rescheduled or going to be completely called off.
That would be a good sign for Memphis.
Right. But yeah, like the feedback that I've gotten is that it leads me to believe that Memphis feels very, very good about their chances with Emmanuel Akot. And so, that would be a huge shot in the arm given how things have gone so far this offseason. They've taken some swings at some guys, Caleb Murphy, Kerwin Walton, Jamarian Sharp, speaking of Western Kentucky. They've taken some swings and missed, but they're not done yet. And, getting a guy this late, 6'8", versatile, can line up pretty much 1 through 4 on the floor, can legitimately play some point guard if there was ever an injury situation or a scenario where load management was in the conversation. He could certainly line up at point guard and give you competent minutes there. So it would be a real big shot in the arm for Memphis. He can also shoot the three. I think he shot 39% last year for Boise. So it would be big.
Those misses you mentioned, how much do you think the IARP shadow and the use of that shadow by other recruiters, how much of that has come into play?
Well, I certainly think it has muddied the waters, no doubt. I know for a fact that other recruiters, other coaches are sort of planting that seed at best, and at worst, they're just going full on and saying, you don't want to go there because they're going to get in big time trouble. You're not going to be playing in any other tournament. It's all fair in recruiting. So yes, no, but I do think that has clouded the picture and made things more difficult. Now, do I think that it's say, let's just pick one, Caleb Murphy. Do I think that that's the only reason he went to DePaul instead of coming to Memphis? No. And I think the same thing for Kerwin Walton and anybody else that they've missed on. I don't think that anybody is looking at Memphis saying, I'd really like to go there, but there's this IARP thing, and that's the deal breaker for me. I don't think that's it. I think, there are other things, other factors at play. I mean, Kerwin Walton, he's not exactly, he's going to Texas Tech, and that's a pretty good situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes that's hard to compete with.
I wonder, like with Walton, it's pretty clear that the outside person in this Memphis scheme is going to be Kendrick Davis. He's going to be the guy that's the star, and I got a feeling Walton wants to be a star, and he's got that opportunity, I guess, in Lubbock.
Yeah, I think it's a harder sell than a lot of people think when you go to a recruit, especially someone like Kerwin Walton who, wants to be sort of a featured piece. You go to him and say, well, having somebody like Kendrick Davis run the point is going to make things is going to open up a lot of opportunities for you. You would think that that's an easy sell because on the surface, he would. Kendrick makes people around him better. No matter who you are, he's going to make you better. but I do think also there's kind of a double-edged sword. Kendrick he's got his hands on the ball a lot, and he is also going to take his shots. He shot, I think, 200 3-pointers last year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, now I don't think that was necessarily him going rogue or anything. I think they asked him to do that.
Right.
But, it is still something that has to be part of the consideration when you're someone like Kerwin Walton. Maybe
Davis is going to get the most shots on this team. I would have to believe. All right,
Right.
Last thing before I run out of time here. We have speculated all summer long on Larry Brown, and we still don't know exactly what's going on with Larry Brown. I think he's going to be a part-time coach. You can fill us in on that. But did you see Frank Haith coming? Because that one took me by surprise.
I would say that when I heard about it, which was a little bit before the report came out from, I believe it was, I can't remember who it was. One of the national reporters reported it. And I'd heard some rumblings a little bit before that, and I would say that I was surprised at that point. I wasn't, when the report came out, I wasn't surprised by that. But yeah, I mean, shoot. But when you get over sort of that initial shock, hey, in comes this longtime head coach who's had lots of success at various stops. Now he's coming here to be an assistant for Penny Hardaway. When you get over that initial sort of wow, it makes sense. Penny, he and Frank have talked a lot over the past few years about how much they respect each other and admire each other and that sort of thing. And I mean, why not? It makes a lot of sense for Penny Hardaway, and it's on the table. Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah,
so,
no, I agree with that.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
He's pulled another one out of his hat, as far as I'm concerned. What is the story with Larry?
Oh, I mean, I can tell you this. I had a conversation with someone not within the program, but someone who is talking to people within the program very recently, who it just seems like everybody is expecting, on the outside and the inside, expecting Larry Brown to be part of this staff in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's an assistant coach the way he was this past year or not, I think it's looking less and less likely that he's going to be, a traditional assistant coach. But I would be very surprised if he is not in the building again for a second season.
Good stuff. Oh, and by the way, I enjoyed your article on Ryan Peniston, the 2018 graduate of the tennis team. That had a big win over the number 5 player in the world, the top seed at that Queensland club tune-up for Wimbledon. That was cool.
And he won again yesterday.
And he did. Wow, he's still in there then. And then Joe Salisbury's won a couple of majors already in doubles. He's a 2014 graduate. I think somebody needs to do a story on Paul Goebel, the golf coach. Since 2004, he's got 2 guys who are really successful on the men's world tour.
Yeah. Maybe we'll start calling Memphis Men's Tennis U.
There you go, Men's Tennis
University
U.
of Men's Tennis. There you go.
I love it. We appreciate you, Jason. I know the story will continue to develop. We'll see what ACOT does. We'll see what other tricks Penny might have up his sleeve. So we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Look forward to it.
That
Thanks,
is
Dave.
our friend Jason Munz from The Commercial Appeal. He's brought to you by the good folks at Conway. Hope your air conditioning system is working. I know mine is because I always get the super tune-ups. In the winter, I get it. I get a carbon monoxide check. In the summer, I get it. I get a Freon leak check. So I'm always safe that way. And my system is always tuned up, which means my system is going to last a lot longer than other people. And my MLGW bill is going to be reasonable because an efficient system saves you money. And you know what? My house is cool. I love it. All you got to do to get that same treatment is spend $69 at the premier Mid-South heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company around. That is Conway. You know the number, 384-3511. Get the tune-up and stay cool this summer. Just call Conway, 384-3511. 3511. To Chicago we go in just a minute. And our good friend Andy Schiffman, our agent from Priority Sports, will talk NBA in just a second.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Blue Angels are back at the Memphis Air Show, June 18th and 19th at the Millington Memphis Airport. See the Blue Angels rip through the Memphis skies, performing acrobatic maneuvers and formations. Tons of death-defying performers. B-17 Texas Raiders, F-35 Lightning, F-22 Raptor, Leapfrogs, Skip Stewart, Kids Family Fun Zone. All performances are included in the price of admission. Discounted tickets are available for a limited time at MidSouthAirShow.com. See you at the Memphis Air Show, June 18th and 19th at the Millington Memphis Airport.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
The NBA playoffs is the world's greatest celebration of basketball. Hennessy champions the moves players are making on and off the court because true greatness is making a long-term impact on your community. Make moves that start movements. Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA. Please enjoy Hennessy responsibly.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Our agent extraordinaire in Chicago, Andy Schiffman, joins us in a second. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team, and they're a team. They use collaboration when they protect you and your family. They get to know you. That's the first thing. They sit you down, Matt, and he's got great associates, Andrew, Grant, Heath. They all sit down. They get to know you. They ask what's important to you, what is most valued that you want to protect. And then when it's a home insurance program or auto insurance, even life insurance, they find what is perfect for you, your needs, and your budget. And that's important. Same thing with commercial insurance. They have virtually unlimited access to programs to protect small and mid-sized businesses. And again, they collaborate. They get to know you. They pick the right protection. All you got to do is call 901-386-4777. At 4777, that spells out GRR because they're big Tiger fans. Get protected the right way with the right team. That is the Eflin Insurance Team. We got a dynasty. Don't we, Andy Schiffman? I think 6 finals in 8 years, 4 titles. That's dynastic, isn't it?
100% it is dynastic day. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I think, and this is the first question for you, really. With Wiseman coming on, another pick coming in the draft, and Poole getting better, and the emergence now of Wiggins being the guy they all thought he would be in 2014. I think they got a few. Don't they have a few years left in them?
I think so. Absolutely. It is pretty remarkable to see what they've done this year. The start of this year with Steph coming off, not a full season last year. Clay obviously coming back on after his injuries, and then to see where they ended up without Wiseman, with the uncertainty of Wiggins, it's pretty incredible. And exactly to your point, if now you got your core healthy, I don't think there's anyone in the NBA that can stop them. It's pretty. I know Steph got MVP of the finals, Dave, but for my money, it goes to Andrew Wiggins.
That's so funny that you said, because that's exactly. I said I don't know that I'm arguing with it, but you could make the case for Wiggins to be the MVP because of his defense.
Yeah. Exactly. Just him stepping up the other night when Steph was cold shooting when they won, what was that, Game 5. Steph Curry, for sure, best player on the court. There's no question about it. But if you break down the meaning of most valuable player, how do you not give it to a guy like Wiggins? But that's neither here nor there. It's just pretty incredible to see where they were at the start of this season, obviously last year as well, to now where they finished. And it's funny, I think going into this NBA season, Dave, so many people had highlighted and circled the Lakers and the Nets. And the Lakers didn't make the playoffs. The Nets squeaked in. They lost early.
They got swept.
And then you've got, this just shows you how good Steph Curry is. Never bet against Steph Curry. And now you've got the addition of hopefully a healthy James Wiseman next year, as you said, draft picks. And don't forget, too, they are in the luxury tax for salary cap purposes, but they are still going to have the opportunity to spend money on free agents. Now, they're not going to go out there and have $15, $20 million to spend on a free agent, but they can go out there and sign someone for right around probably $4 to $6 million. And people want to play in that system. Players will take pay cuts to go play for a team like Golden State that will give them an opportunity to win a championship versus going to chase money elsewhere. If it's a veteran type of player that's obviously already made lots of money in the NBA. So it's a good day to be a Warriors player, Warriors fan, etc.
No doubt. What about Boston? Were they exposed a little bit in this thing where Tatum, if you pay attention to details, he gets thwarted. Wiggins did an unbelievable job on him. Jaylen Brown's not the most consistent guy in the world. He can be great, but he's not, I don't think, totally consistent. And then Marcus Smart, he's not a great distributor, or it sure doesn't appear to me that he is.
Well, I think you get excited about what you see from those big three, and really, if you want to say Al Horford as well, after what he did in the first game, and those four guys, you get excited about what you've seen early on, and then they just kind of fizzled out, to your point. And I think Jaylen Brown is a pretty good trade candidate now if you're Boston. If you're trying to take that next step and maybe go out and make a splash and get a perennial all-star. Look, Jaylen Brown, obviously, I think he made the All-Star team this year, a very good player. I think he actually was a late addition to the All-Star game. But you can get real value for him, and I think if you're Brad Stevens and if you're Ime Udoka, you're going to look around the trade market because similar to the Warriors, they're going to have a limited amount of money to spend in free agency, and I think you can make some noise in the trade market. Now, there's no reason to go out there and quote-unquote blow up your team and look to move a guy like Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. I don't think you're touching Tatum no matter what the offer is. I wouldn't move him. But maybe just one additional go-to player alongside Tatum to complement what he and Marcus Smart bring to the table. I think they have a very bright future. Obviously, they're disappointed. But again, like, you're not losing the finals, getting swept, or losing to a team that just you were better than. There's no shame in losing to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
No. But you know what it makes me think? If the Grizzlies had had Ja and Steven Adams for the whole doggone deal, they would have won that series. They could have been the champs.
It was very interesting how the whole Steven Adams thing played out, obviously, late in the season, with him obviously not playing consistently. And I think if Ja, look, you can sit there and say what you want to say about the Grizzlies' success when Ja was out.
Yeah, but you need Ja if you're going to win titles.
You need him on the floor.
Yeah,
exactly. You're going to win a
doubt about
championship.
that.
Yeah, you need a consistent, healthy Ja. And the Grizzlies, look, shifting gears, obviously, to free agency in the summer and the draft. It's going to be very interesting, especially Thursday night with the Grizzlies they had 2 first-round draft picks, 3 picks overall.
Yes.
But keep in mind, they own picks 22 and 29. And if you're Zach Kleiman with a limited number of roster spots, you're probably going to use the second-round pick on a two-way if you keep it. And I think they're in prime position to try and package 22 and 29 and potentially another player on the roster to move up into the top 15 to 20 and try and get a big-time difference maker, which you can at those spots. So they've got a lot of assets to work with, and they're in a really positive position.
Since you bring that up, Andy Schiffman, who is the player you think is the most movable with 22 and 29 that would entice somebody to allow you to move up, and how high?
I'd have to stop and really think about that. That's a tough one, to be honest. I think the Grizzlies could really use a two-way player, meaning very skilled offensively. I don't think you need another big. You obviously don't need another guard if you especially can keep Tyus Jones. Just a really offensive, maybe an isolation player on the wing that can defend at a very high level, that has got great size, that's able to switch on the perimeter, switch screen and rolls so you can guard multiple positions. I think that would be great for the Grizzlies. We need to talk next week before the draft. I can kind of give you a better idea.
Okay, we're moving you to Thursday, same time slot, in order to accommodate that.
Give you all my draft thoughts.
Real quick, off the cuff. I understand that, and I'm not asking you right now who would be the guy that you could move. Who's the guy that's a collegiate player or a foreigner that fits that bill you just talked about, the two-way guy that can shoot?
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm just kind of thinking of our guys, obviously, and going through the list. I'll be more prepared next week when I really dive into it deeper.
You got it. All right, I hope Chicago's cooler than Memphis. That's all I can say for you, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, Dave.
That's our friend Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports in Chicago. This final portion has been brought to you by the Spirit Shop. That's Eddie Connor's place. You know what a good place that is. Right there at 4848 Poplar Avenue. Right in the heart of East Memphis. That's Poplar and St. Nick. It's that little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. You've passed it by a million times. Time to restock. We got a Father's Day weekend. We got a lot of golf going to be played. You can find, by the way, any of the Grind City products or any of the old Dominic products. You can find Poppy's Pills. You can find the best in tequilas or vodkas or bourbon, rare, bargain. Same thing with wines. They'll let you know what's the next up-and-comer, like Cornerstone was years ago. Now you see where it is. Eddie Connor educates you when you go in there, and they have the best prices around. Right there to restock the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. We got to thank Andy Schiffman and Jason Munns. We wish everybody a happy Father's Day. See you Monday.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should